Path Counseling and Consulting back again to provide a little education for all of you on a little thing known as window of tolerance. And Sage is here to assist me. Say hi, Sage. Hi. She says hi. Okay, so window of tolerance just basically means this is where things feel just right, or where you're at your best to cope with whatever's going on. You're, calm, but you're not tired. You're alert, but you're not anxious. And so right now, Sage and I are in our window. We're just chilling. And everybody has what we call kind of a baseline of functioning where we're not triggered, we're not activated, we're not dysregulated in any way. We're just hanging out. We're chilling. So people become dysregulated throughout the day, either going into what we call hyperarousal. So hyperarousal, this is when you feel extremely anxious or angry or even out of control. Unfamiliar or threatening feelings can overwhelm you and you might want to fight or run away. So your sympathetic nervous system is activated and it's the whole fight or flight thing. And I'll maybe definitely make a video about that more specifically someday. But ultimately, hyper arousal is like we're really, really worked up. Okay. Now dysregulation, where we start to notice we're coming up out of the window of tolerance into that hyperarousal when we start to feel a little agitated, right? We might feel a little anxious, a little revved up, but you don't quite feel out of control, but you don't feel comfortable, right? So okay, so I'm filming this on the phone right now. I would become just a little annoyed if it kept getting interrupted because people were texting me or trying to call me, or I had people home with me today that were trying to talk to me while I'm doing this. I'm not gonna get super worked up about it initially, right? If it continues, I might though. But I'm gonna get okay, quiet it down, or I need to silence my notifications. And then I come back down to my baseline of functioning, my window of tolerance. Now, dysregulation can also go the opposite direction into hypoarousal. So this is when we're extremely zoned out or feeling numb, both emotionally or maybe even physically. Time can go missing. It might feel like you're completely frozen. It's not something you choose. Your body kind of takes over. And so people that are really, really depressed will often report feeling numb, or they just can't get out of bed, or they just can't get started. And sometimes people with ADHD, right? They're just I want to do the task, but I just feel frozen. I just can't do it. And so dysregulation is you feel like you're shutting down. You might zone out, you might get a little spacey and lose track of time and start to feel sluggish. But when you're just in that kind of a good example of feeling dysregulated, but not completely in hypoarousal is if you've ever been in a classroom and the teacher's just going on and on and on and on. Right? And you find yourself kind of staring out the window and you're thinking about, oh, what do I want to have for dinner tonight? Or, oh, I've got practice after this. Or I wonder if that person's going to text me back. Or, you know what I mean? You're just zoned out, and then or maybe you have no thoughts, right? Maybe you just don't even know where you're at. And then you're oh, and you come to and the person's still lecturing, right? So that's dysregulation going in the hypoarousal direction. But, where people find themselves in the disorder category, or, and people really don't like labels. And I completely respect that. Historically, mental health, emotional health, behavioral health has been very, very stigmatized. And so we don't really like to label things. But where something becomes a disorder is where it is prolonged. It's going on for a prolonged period of time. Is it 2 weeks or more, whatever the criteria is, for whatever the presenting concerns are. But, are we, continuously finding ourselves in hyperarousal or hypoarousal? Is it causing dysfunction in our daily lives? Is it causing impairment? If I'm in hypoarousal for a stretch of time, maybe I'm missing work. Maybe I can't tend to myself. Maybe I'm not taking as good a care of my children as I probably should be or could be, but it's because I'm just in this like overwhelmed, shut down space. And so knowing and so just maybe ask yourself as I'm describing all of this, and maybe it already kind of came to your mind as I was describing it. Where's my tendency? Do I tend to come up out of the window into hyper arousal, or am I more prone to hypo arousal, or is it some combination of both? And or do I notice that I come out of my window when I'm triggered, but I'm able to come back down to my baseline? I can come back into the window pretty quickly. Yeah, so when I'm working with clients, I always provide this education about window of tolerance, because so often when we're talking about depression or anxiety or ADHD, and I'm just mentioning them because they're very, very common things that I treat, window of tolerance is very important, and a person's ability to tolerate distress, right? Distress. For, again, a person with the ADHD diagnosis, or maybe there's not a label, we just know that we really struggle with task initiation, task completion, getting started and finishing things. We just feel really, really overwhelmed. And if the to-do list, is kind of feeling like Mount Everest, we might dysregulate, we might go into that hypoarousal. And so, because we're not able to tolerate having all of those tasks. So the role of the therapist in that case is to teach skills to break it down, bit by bit, so we're not so overwhelmed by looking at the totality of the to-do list, and we're more just one thing at a time, right? So, okay, that is window of tolerance, and I hope I did a decent job of explaining it and why it's relevant to my work with clients, and even relevant to you, even if you're not my client. It's relevant to us all, because every single day we are going to come up or out of the window. Driving in traffic is another way people come up out of the window. And yeah, so having good, coping skills, calming skills, tools, tips, things that you can do to help get yourself back in the window as quickly as possible are going to ensure that you feel your very best. And yeah, so until next time, take care of yourselves, and I will see you when I see you. Bye.